Hey guys, it's John with ReelBlue Custom Rods, and today we're going to do a different take on the fish wrap, and we're going to basically make what you guys see here a fade fish wrap. If you haven't seen the original video that I did on how to do a fish wrap, you can see that here in the upper right hand corner and click on that card, and that'll take you over to see that video, or you can come back to it after you watch this video and click on it. And then I'll go back there and watch that one. So the fish fade wrap. So I'm going to choose just 3 off the wall colors to do this. I'm going to use, NCP thread. So I'm going to use size A, code 207 Pro Wrap, color fast thread. And then I'm going to use 210. And then I'm going to use 216, and we're going to do this in order. So the first, and for this, all I'm going to do is do the wrap. I'm not going to fill it in and do all the other stuff. I will do a little border so to help you see the fish, but I'm not going to wrap the entire wooden dowel. So the first thing I want to do is I want to pick a color that I can use for my border, and that's going to be some regular nylon thread. I'm going to use a little size D, and this code 819, basically a gray color. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and start the wrap. And all I'm doing is coming on my lines dots that I created already, got my measurements. Then we're going to come back on those same measurements, making sure I'm getting my same cross points. All right, and I'm going to do that one more time. And for this border, I'm going to work towards the right or towards the tip of the rod. And again, this is just going to be my outer border of this fade fish wrap. And this is actually going to be also kind of along the line of a sequential, but it's not really. I'm missing a couple colors in between from the colors that I'm picking. Remember, I'm doing 207, 210, and 216. So it's kind of along the lines of a sequential fade wrap. And if you've never seen a sequential fade wrap, you can see a video here up in the upper right hand corner, and that's a video I did on how to do a sequential color fade wrap. So again, this is just my border. I have my cross points, and I worked from the back, or from our left, which is going to be the butt of the rod, towards the right, which we're going to call the tip of the rod. And let me go ahead and cut that line. Set that off to the side. And then I'm just going to kind of look at my colors here, put them in order: 207, 210, and 216. And I think what I want to do is start with this one on the right. I think I want to go from dark to a lighter color, so the head will be darker, the body will be the next lighter color, and then towards the tail will be the lightest of the 3. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start wrapping on the inward side of this wrap. And again, I try to go to the far end of my tape, my double-sided tape, as I'm working in. It gives me more room as I work towards the inside of the rod, or towards the butt of the rod, if you will. And who would have known? These colors look really great. Of course they do. There's a dark orange color and a gray color. Good colors. If you're contemplating on what colors combinations to use on your next rod build, look at that. I just hooked you up, gave you the answer. Gray and orange. All right. And so I am going to just repeat. Go back down. And remember, I'm not pulling too tight, right? I'm not giving it a lot of tension. I'm just, helping it coax it along, get it to lay down where I want the thread to lay down at. And then by not putting too much tension on it, that's going to help allow me to move that thread with my burnishing tool when I come back and burnish. Again, I'm just coming in here. Laying down this thread. And so, like I said, I'm just repeating this step. Probably, and every wrap is going to be different, okay? But you're going to continue to repeat this step probably about 15 to 20 times. If I'm using a single color, meaning if I was going to build this out in complete orange, I would do this for about 15 to 20 wraps. But I am using 3 colors for this fade wrap, right? So what I need to do is figure out, hey, I got 15 to 20 times that I need to repeat this, and I'm using 3 colors. Now, one would say, well, I would just divide 15 or 20 by 3 and come up with how many times I need to use each color on a wrap. But that's really not the case, because if you've seen the original fish wrap video that I posted, you'll know that you have to make a skip when we get, or a space, if you will, when we get to developing the tail of the fish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just let that set for a minute. I'm going to grab my burnishing tool, trying to keep this straight for you guys. And all I want to do, now I just want to come in and I'm just using my burnishing tool. I'm tightening up my cross marks here, both sides. And then just packing my thread a little bit, just using that burnishing tool to move it around. It'll move fairly easy because you've wrapped it lightly. You don't have a lot of pressure on it. Again, if you put a lot of pressure on that thread and try to pull it tight, you're going to force it to do things that you don't want it to do. Like it will skip lines. It'll pop over other lines when you try to move it. So again, I like to add just enough pressure to get it where I want it. And then just, keep it kind of loose so I can move it around. All right, so I've got 3 wraps, and then I went and packed. So I think what I want to do, if I'm going to do, let's say I'm going to do 20 wraps, I think I don't want to divide it by 3 because, again, I have to make a skip, as you will see, for the tail. So I think what I want to do is so if I have 20 and I do 10, I think maybe what I want to do is 8. So I think I want to do 8 total wraps with the orange. And then we'll start to do, 8 total wraps with the orange, and then we'll start incorporating the second color. But I think I may keep it simple, and I actually may just go with 5. But we'll see. Yep, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with 5 because I have to fade in the color out. So I need to account for that as I wrap this out. So this will be number 4. we'll go back down one more time. And then this will be number 5. So what I'm not going to do in this video, I'm not going to do any time-elapse, because if I do time-elapse, you're going to miss out on the opportunity for me to talk and narrate actually what I'm doing here, which I think is really the most important piece. So I'm just coming through here, so just bear with me. Coming through here on wrap number 5. And we'll come back down. On wrap number 5. Okay. So we're going to tie this one off down here, cut the line. Give it a nice little tug. Set that off to the side. All right, that's my first color that I'm using. I'm going to come back with my burnishing tool again, and I'm just going to pack my threads in my crossing points. That's where I like to start at. Then I like to come back and turn my rod, use the side of my burnishing tool to burnish those threads in, or actually to pack those threads in. And I'll come back here, do the same thing on the top here. Okay, now, so this was 216. Again, I'm working backwards. So now I want to incorporate 210. And when I incorporate number 210 here, for me, number 210, or your second color, I'm going to come in. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to repeat the same pattern, or the same, I'm going to move, from the tip towards the butt of the rod here, but I'm going to come in with one strand. One strand of this stuff. I'm laying it right next to it. All right, we'll come back around. Let me know what you guys think so far down in the comments block. And if you're getting something out of the video, go ahead and hit the like button. Help the algorithm find the video. All right, so we did that one strand. Now what I like to do, let me get that down really quick, is I like to make a note on where I'm at on the threads. So what I mean by that is, I'm just gonna come in, and I know I did 5 wraps of the orange, and then I did of the 216, and I did 1 wrap of the 210. So I'm just going to use this piece of paper. I'm going to set it off to the side, and then I'll come back and update that every time we wrap. So that'll help me keep track of how many individual wraps I've done. Now I'm going to come back again with my first color, which was 216, and I'm going to come in and do 3 wraps of the 216. I'm just making sure everything's getting lined up there. Again, 3 wraps with this iteration of the 216 that I'm using. And of course, you could do this with any colors that you guys want. You can fade with any colors. I'm just a fan of using very similar colors, so it gives you a very good fade look. or at least in my opinion, it gives you a very good fade look. All right, so that's one. All right, then we'll come back down and go down for number 2. Again, not a lot of pressure. I'm going to come back with my burnishing tool here shortly. Just trying to get it close to that first, each strand before it. I'm just trying to get the next strand close to it as I can without creating a lot of pressure. All right, this is still number 2. Okay. And then now we're going to come down on the 3rd wrap. All right, and then come down the last time with this one. All right, oops. Yep, okay. All right, so now what I want to do is get this on here. Nice, give it a nice tug. All right, the next thing I want to do is I want to come in with my paper, and I'm trying not to blind you with the whiteness there of that paper on the camera. So I did 3 more wraps of that, 2, 3. All right. So I'm at a total right now of 9 wraps, right? Of the 15 to 20 that I wanted to go, I'm at a total of 9 wraps. And this is why, it's important that you understand like what it is you're trying to achieve. And you just, understanding the process of the fade wrap. And once you understand that, you're just calculating for the fade portion, I think it gets pretty easy. All right. We're just tightening this up a little bit. All right. So now I think that looks okay. So now what I want to do is I'm going to come back in with my second color, which is 210. And I'm going to come in with my second color, continuing to move in the same direction. I am going to do 2 wraps. If I can get this thread to stick to the tape. All right, so now I'm going to come in and I'm going to do 2 wraps. And this is where we're building the fade to the second color. And we'll come back around. Again, it's just the downward portion of the first one. All right. And we'll go back up. Again, keeping that line that thread as closest to that first one as you can without applying too much tension. All right. And then once I get this down here to this end, all right, pull that tight, good little snug. All right, then I did 2 wraps of that second color. So I'm at 10 and 11 wraps. So you can see I'm keeping track here. I'm at 10 and 11 wraps of thread. I'm going to come back in with my burnishing tool, get my cross points first. And then I'll rotate the rod, use my burnishing tool to help pack the threads to the side there. Same thing this direction. All right, and then now I'm going to come in and use my first color and do 2 wraps. Trying to take, precautions not to overlap the other thread that I've got on there. But yet just get right next to it. This is coming down to the end of 1. All right, now we're going to go back and do the second one. And come down for the second one. All right, and then wrap this off. Come back with my piece of paper and do those 2 wraps that I just did on my paper. Make sure that's not coming loose. All right, now I'm going to come back with my second color again, and this time I'm going to do 3 colors, or excuse me, 3 wraps. But I think what I'm going to do here really quick, when I come down here at the end of this first one, again, I'm doing 3 of this second color. And I think what I want to do is I'm going to come down here, get a good bite. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. Let me make sure I got it stuck on this tape really good. There you go. I'm just going to come in and just pause really quick and pack this thread. Okay, and then there we go. See, I was having a little bit of a gap start. That's why I wanted to pause and just pack the thread a little bit. Okay, so that was 1. Now what I want to do is I want to continue, and I want to get 2 more on here. So I have a total of 3 with this light color. All right, so if you got any questions about this that are bothering you, that are coming up at any time, whether it's now or any time during this, hey, feel free to leave a comment in the comments block down below, and I will respond to your comment as soon as I see it, or as soon as I have a chance to respond. Which really, I feel like I respond pretty quickly to people's comments. Of course, unless I'm sleeping. But I do feel like I respond pretty quickly to people's comments. So if you do have a question, and this is something you're trying to incorporate early, or it's a wrap that you want to try to do soon, hey, just shoot me a comment, and I will answer your question as soon as I can. All right, so now we're going to go up for the third wrap here. And then we'll come back down for that third one, and then we're gonna switch over. Also, if you don't have any questions about this, but you have a video idea or a question about another video that I've done, feel free to also, again, comment below, and I'll answer that question as well. So I did those 3 wraps. Now what I'm going to do, just get that one to stick down. I'm going to come back with the first color we used. Which, again, if you're trying to follow colors, this is 216. And I'm doing 1 wrap. 1 wrap of the initial color we started with, and in this case, it's 216. And I'm just laying it next to the color before it, as close as I can. You know, I just realized I'm using like Nemo colors almost. This thing might look like Nemo. We might have to call this the Nemo fish wrap. All right, so that's that one strand that I wanted to do of that initial color. And I am done using 216. Okay, I'm done using that first color. So now all I want to do is make sure I got that stuff stuck to the tape pretty good. Sorry, let me adjust my working area here. I'm going to come in and burnish. Again, starting at my cross points. And I'm just packing the thread. Telling you have to burnish often when you're doing this type of wrapping. You got to burnish often. And this is why it takes time. And of course, you throw in any mistake you make, and you got to unwind that mistake and just that mistake without destroying your wrap. A lot of time goes into these. So, okay. So that was the 2 wraps and then the 1. So now I'm down to 16 total wraps so far. And I said I wanted to go to 20. This is why it's kind of, you know, you got to try to figure out your math and stuff. And you know what? If your math is off, it's okay. I mean, it's a great thing. It can look like whatever you want it to look like or however it comes out. But now what I want to do is I want to come in and I want to do 5 wraps. I want to do 5 wraps of this lighter color. So 1. And that'll put us at 21 wraps, but that's okay. So 1. And we'll come back down. So this is 1. And you can see that fade look it's starting to give you, right? Starting to give you that fade pattern. And it should look a little better once we get 5 of these second color wrapped on here. Again, if you're keeping track because you like these colors, this is 210. Size A Color Fast Pro Wrap thread, or Pro Wraps Color Fast thread, or what we would call in the industry, right, NCP thread, which means you do not have to add color preserver to it. So this is 2. All right, here we go. It's 2. Come back in here with 3. And again, we're doing 5 of these. Three. Come down on number 3. All right. Okay, so I'm going to just come in here, get a bite with this thread on that tape so it doesn't move around. And I'm going to pause and I'm going to pack threads / burnish, right? Again, my cross points. This is just how I like to do it. And then I'll come back here, turn the rod, use my burnishing tool, use the edge of the burnishing tool to pack that thread into the side or to push it over to the side. Not a lot of pressure, you slip off and you make a mistake. You could bump your thread, and it happens and it's okay. There's gonna be a little bit of gap there because of my tape. I can kind of move it over. Oh yeah, and my thread came a little loose. See, there we go. That's what happens when you don't have the good bite on that. So I'm just gonna come back in here, relay this thread down. Crisis avoided right there, let me tell you. I'm just going to keep my thumb there, and I'm going to come back and do the same thing this way. Again, you can see the fade wrap starting to take shape here. Sorry guys, I know my hand's in the way. There you go. Got a good bite. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep wrapping. So that was 3. So we got 2 more that we want to do. This is 4. Four going down. Okay, and we'll go up and down one more time, and that'll be number 5. All right, and then come down for number 5. All right, and that is number 5. So I'm going to tie this one off. I'm going to set that off to the side. I'm going to come back with my piece of paper, and I'm going to update 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm at 21 wraps so far. That's fine. That is okay. So I have my second color. Now what I'm going to do is I want to bring in the 3rd color that I want to use, and this is number 207. Again, Pro Wraps Color Fast or NCP thread 207. We'll come in and get a bite on this tape. And what I want to do actually while I have that on there is I'm going to add a little bit more tape. I love to use the frog tape, the yellow one. And come back and double that over itself. That's just and the reason why I'm going backwards is going to give me more room. So tighten that up. Don't come back down there. There we go. All right. And so now I'm going to come back up here, and we're going to do 1 wrap. This is just like if we were incorporating the second color. The first thing I'm going to start with is just 1 wrap. and then come down with that one wrap. And then tighten that off. I'm going to update my sheet. So I'm keeping track of how many wraps I have, just a one wrap. The great thing, pro tip, the great thing about keeping track of the number of wraps or the number of wraps by color is if you want to come back and replicate that same design, you don't have to try to recall it all from your brain, and it's there on a piece of paper. So I did one wrap. Now I'm going to come back with 3 of our second color, which was again 210. I'm coming back with 3 of these. And this is just a fade portion of that last color, right, that we're fading in. So 1. Again, just 3 of these for the fade. You could always do different. I like to use 3-2-1 method. You can do 4-3-2-1. You can do 6-5-4-3-2-1. When you talk about art, everything is always better in odd numbers. So if I can make a recommendation to you, anytime I would do a fade wrap, I would never use an even number as the amount of wraps you're starting for the fade wrap. I'd always start with an odd number. So that was 1. Now we're going to come in with the second one. So I guess an easier way to say it is like, if you're going to do a fade wrap, either do 3-2-1, 5-4-3-2-1, 7-6-5-4-3-2-1, or something like that. Always start with an odd number. All right. And we come down here as number 2. Okay, and then we'll do one more. And then we'll cut this and pack the threads. So this is 3. All right, come down, tie that off. Again, we're going to update our sheet. So we did 3, 1, 2, 3. So now we're at 25 wraps. And then, of course, I'm going to use this as an opportunity in between to burnish or to pack the threads. Again, just use the side of your burnishing tool to move that thread a little bit. Not a lot of pressure. Again, if you had that thread packed really tight and you use that burnishing tool, that's where you can pop threads over one another and stuff like that. And then of course, if you burnish or if you pack the threads frequently, like I do, I try to do it like around every 3 wraps. I feel like that reduces the opportunity for stuff like what I'm trying to fix right now, for a gap in the thread to be created. And sometimes, like you just saw, I fixed it just by swiping over it, and that will fix it. And we'll come back this other way. And just pack the thread again. Sorry for my hand getting in the way there. All right. Sweet. All right, so that's the 3. So now we're going to come back with our lightest thread, and we're going to do 2 wraps. Because we did 1 the first time, now we're going to do 2. All right. And while I'm doing this, if you guys, if you're new to rod building, or, you've been doing it for a little bit, or if you're an expert, and if you've got, if you're having, I don't want to say a problem, but like if, when it comes to thread, there's a lot to understand about thread, and size really does matter when it comes to working with your threads. And if you're interested in learning more about, the different sizes of thread, and what they mean / what they're used for, NCP, nylon, all that stuff. If you're interested, down in the description block, there is a link to an ebook that I created and wrote. It's you can get it. That link will take you directly to my website. It's a downloadable, about a 6-page ebook on thread and understanding thread and thread wraps, and even has some full color descriptions of how to do overwrap and underwraps. And so again, if that's something that you're interested in, down in the description block, you can find a link to that. So now I'm going to go back up, and we're going to do our second one. Don't want them to cross over. Okay, and as soon as we get done here, we'll go back up on the third one. So I did, 1 of the lightest color. I did 3 of the darkest color. Then I did 2 of the lightest color. Now I'm going to do 2 of the darker color. Again, not a lot of tension. I'm not pulling really hard. And then come back down. So this is 1, and I'll do 1 more after this. Okay. And then now I'm going to come back with the lightest color, the last color we're using. And I'm going to come in with 3 wraps of this now. All right. Come down on this one. Again, not a lot of tension. Just trying to lay those colors close as I can. You know, lay those thread lines, excuse me, as close as I can to one another. All right, 2, going up on 2. All right, coming down here on 2, and then we're going to go up one more time. We're getting to the end of this, guys. Almost there. So we're going to go up on 3. Go up on 3. Again, make sure you don't overlap your threads. Come down on 3. And then what we'll do is we'll cut, we'll mark up our piece of paper, and then we'll pack the threads. So we got 3 of those, give it a little tug and cut your line. And then I'm going to come to my paper. I'm going to keep track. 1, 2, 3. So now I'm at a total of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 wraps, which is good. We're good because we're coming down to the end here. The next thing I want to do is I want to pack my thread. Hit those cross points. And then use the side of the burnishing tool, come all the way down, packing those threads. Excuse my hand, I know my hand's getting in the way there, guys, sorry. All right, and then we'll come back this way. Just using that burnishing tool, pack those threads, bam. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back with the middle color, 210, and we are going to do 1 wrap with 210, and then we're done with 210. So I'm gonna do 1 wrap. With the 210 color here. One wrap of the 210. And then once I get this 1 wrap of the 210 done, essentially we are going to want to do 5 wraps, right? That would follow the pattern. We would want to do 5 wraps of the lightest color. So the darkest color, 216 we're done with. We're done with 210. Now we just still have a few more things to do with our lightest color. But before we do that, what I want to do is I'm going to make 1 wrap with the 207. And you will see why here in a second. I'm just going to start and get it ready for our 5 wraps that we're going to do. And it's okay if we do a little bit more than 5 wraps. As a matter of fact, I think we'll probably do 2 here, just to give me a good color to get up against when we reverse the direction we're working here, and you guys will see that in a second. So let's do 1 more. All right, and this will be the last one we'll do here. Okay, and we're gonna get a bite, lock that down, cut that line. We're gonna update our sheet. We did 1 additional and then 2 of that. Okay, then the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna pack the thread again 1 more time. And then once we pack this thread, we are going to come back with our border color. And let me tell you though, as I look at this, I like these colors. These colors look really good together. So after I pack that thread there, I'm going to come back, and now what I want to do, so I'm going to skip a spot for 3 or 4 threads. And it's not a big gap, man. You're talking 3 or 4 threads, right? It's not going to be a big gap. You're just trying to eyeball what that 3 or 4 threads would look like when you skip that spot. And I'll come back down and do the same thing. Three or 4 threads, not a big space. So now that I skipped that, now what I want to do I'm going to come back with our gray color, which was the first color we started with, right, with the border. And I'm going to stay, working towards the butt of the rod. And I'm going to follow on the outside of that thread, that lone thread. We put about 3 or 4 thread pieces away. And I'm going to do this twice. And what this is going to do is going to start giving us that shape of the fish for the tail. So I want to do 2 wraps of this. And again, I like this gray with these orange/yellow colors. They're really cool looking. And we'll go back up, do that again. Staying again, working towards the butt of the rod. All right, so now we have that done. We're going to lop that off, get it nice and tight. Now the next step is we're going to come up here and we are going to take that last color we were using, that light color, and we are going to come in on the inside right there next to itself with 1 wrap. And we're going to come back down. Again, doing the same thing on the inside. And I would tell you, I think the hardest part about this wrap is the spacing. When you make that skip for 3 or 4 threads, that is probably the hardest step. I think and what I mean by that is you're trying to keep that space you make even, right? Okay, so now I'll lock that down. And then I'm going to come back with the gray again. On the outside, and we're going to do that 3 times this time. All right, coming down on 1. Then we're going to go up again on the outside here, 2. All right. And then one more time for good measure. And then you'll start to see that this is the point, the inner point of the tail on the fish. And so we're just going to keep wrapping. All right. So that's 3 times. Now what I like to do is I'm going to come in and again, we talked about packing thread, right? So we're always coming in and packing the thread. But I also want to show you something else I'm going to do. I'm also going to come in here in the center where I wrapped, and we're just going to burnish that thread. So we'll burnish this gray thread. We make that look like it's all nice and laid in. And then what else we're going to do is we're going to come back, like I said, where those threads are at. There we go. Okay, now we're going to come in with our light color. And we're going to go on the inside. And just so you can see what we're talking about, I'm coming on the inside. I'm filling up that space right there, working in that direction, right? So I'm coming in here, filling in this space. To help create, you know, I guess working towards the back of the body of the fish, right? Or towards the head of the fish. And you can see when we come back down. And then every time we do this, basically all we're doing is we're taking this thread and filling in that space we created. Now I'm using color fast thread or NCP thread, right? But what I would prefer to use is just regular nylon thread. I don't have nylon thread in these colors, so that's why I'm doing this right now in these. But here's why I prefer to do it with nylon thread. Because nylon thread, once you apply your finish, it's not as easy to see each individual wrap once your finish soaks into the thread, like it is on a NCP thread. So we did that one wrap. I'm going to add a little bit more tape. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to work in the back here like we were doing before. And we're just going to keep following that same pattern we were doing with this gray thread on the back end. We're going to do 3 more wraps. So that's one. And we'll come back down. Do two. All right, that's one. We're going to go back up again. And then come back down again. And this is number two. All right. And then go back up for the last time on this one. This is number three. And come down. All right, and then we tie this off. Come back in, again, burnishing tool, right? Pack the threads. Again, this is why this is time consuming. You have to take this time and come in and pack these threads as you do this. It'll give you, I mean, you'll be pleased with it. You'll be upset that you're doing it and it's taking you that long, but you'll be pleased with the outcome. All right. There we go. All right, and then we'll come back with the light thread again. And we will go on the inside, again, taking up that space that we created. That's what we're trying to do here. All right, and come back down. All right. Cinch that down. And then we're going to do that again with the gray thread. 3 wraps. And I'll just point out now, like, you can see how we're starting to get that tail look, right? Right there, you can see how that tail is starting to come out. Tail is starting to come out. And then you'll see that this will be the head of the fish here. And that'll be the back. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna still got a few more steps to build this tail. So we're gonna come back in with 3 more wraps. And one thing I want to point out, like I did in the first video on the fish wrap, you know, if you extend the space between your cross points and make it almost longer, still evenly spaced but longer, that's going to stretch out your fish pattern. Ultimately, what gives you that tuna, what some people refer to as the tuna wrap, it's going to give you a longer fish wrap. So this is 1. Well, I have 2 more to do after this. This will be 2. Again, not a lot of pressure on that thread, just laying it down next to each other, nice and easy. All right, so we're going to have 1 more. All right, so this is our 3rd one here. All right, getting down to the end of here. All right, and then we'll tie that off. So come back with our light color again. And then we'll come in here. And as you can see, we'll probably need to, we'll have to come in here 1 more time at least to fill this in with the orange color, and that'll be fine. All right. Same thing coming back. Yep, so we'll have to come in here 1 more time. All right. Oh, sorry guys. Okay, give that a tug. All right, and then our gray thread. And of course, this is going to be 3 more times. And if you haven't been able to tell, this gray thread is the thread that's going to fill in the rest of the wrap if I was going to do that, right? I'm not going to take up the rest of your time because that is definitely going to take a while. But you get what's happening here is this is the color that I would continue to use to fill it in. And I'll talk about that more here in a second. Or in a few minutes, actually. But so we're wrapping this down. This is one. We got 2 more to do after this. All right, that's 1. Two more to do here. All right, one more wrap of this gray. And I'm going to come in and burnish a little bit. And then we'll lay that last orange down. And if you have been sticking with me all the way through this wrap, let me tell you what, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I know it can be a little monotonous watching this. Trust me, it's the same way doing it. But thanks for sticking with me and watching the whole video. Two. Actually, this is 3. All right, so that's that one. What we'll do now really quick is we're going to burnish or pack the thread. All right, sorry my hand's getting in the way there again, guys. And then we'll do that this way. And I can come in, of course, with my burnishing tool and smooth out my threads, right? The great thing about a burnishing tool, move those threads around. Too much moving the thread around right there. Okay, now we're going to come in with our light color one more time to fill in that space. And then this should fill us in. All right, this is looking good, filled in. And then we'll come back down to the other end. All right, guys. Okay, so that will take care of that. I'm going to cinch that off a little bit. Okay, so you can see how that is the tail, right? So these are the tails of the wrap, of that fish wrap that we're doing. So those are the tails. So now what I would do is I would continue to wrap the gray this way, moving in this direction. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one on here, maybe two, to help just cut off this back part of the tail to kind of finish it off where we just left off at. So to help define it a little bit easier for you. See, like right there, I'm just cutting that back part of that tail off. So I'm just going to take this thread, and all I would do is I would continue to do what I'm doing right now with this gray thread, wrapping towards the butt of the rod, or continuing to work from, right to left. And that will fill in the gap that I have here. So as I continue to fill in the gap, I will continue to come down and come down and come down, and that will knock off or block off this part of the fish that you will see and create the fish. You'll be left with the full fish once you finish doing all of this gray wrap. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm just going to kind of do a shortcut so you can see what I'm talking about, so you can see the fish. So let me come down here. Again, I'm just trying to cut off the back of that, finish off the back of that fish tail. All right, almost there, guys, almost there. Again, thanks for hanging with me. All right. Okay, so to finish this wrap, I would continue moving. This wrap that I'm doing now with the gray, I would continue wrapping. I would slowly work this way, filling in the space until I connect to these gray marks where I've already did where we first started this wrap at. That's how you finish the wrap. But for instructional purposes, I'm just gonna kind of come back and wrap off the head of this fish so you can see the design, okay? So all I'm going to do here is come in and wrap off the head, or frame out the head of this fish so you can see the fish design. All right, I'm just taking my time here. So you guys can see what this looks like. All right, I'll do it one more time. All right. Okay guys, so that, again, I just did this to close it off for you so you could see what that fish looks like. And voila, that's it. That is a fade wrap fish. And that's what it'll look like. And again, I just want to reinforce, the way you finish this off is not by coming back to the front like I did here to close it off for you. You continue to work backwards from here until it comes all the way down and wraps off around the front of the fish. I just did this technique right here so you guys could get an understanding of what the fish would look like. So this is a fade wrap fish. And I hope that you guys got something out of it, and I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I hope you try to use it. You know, again, thanks for watching. I know it was a long video, so thanks for staying with me. Please feel free to leave a comment in the comments block. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you have any questions, and please hit the like button. Until next time, guys, take care. Make sure you watch this next video. Bye.